Alright guys, so now we're going to be setting up the airless sprayer, and the first thing you want to do is make sure you got all your stuff where you're working. So dirty bucket, we've got a clean bucket of water there, we've got our drill, mixer, cleaning brush, we also have our spanners. Everything is here and accessible for when we're working. How we're going to start is we're going to take the lid off this, the hopper. And this is your dump valve, so I just call this the dump because it's where you're pulling everything through the machine and then into your dump pipe. What we're going to do first is what I always do, because I've got a bit of antifreeze in there from last time, is always run water through the machine just to make sure that everything is clear, the ball bearing's not jammed, and so on. If you fill it with water first and the ball bearings are stuck, it's a lot easier to take the hopper off. If you fill it with paint and then the ball bearing's stuck, then you're going to have a lot more mess to deal with, because you're going to have to take the wet end off the sprayer, the hopper, and then you're going to be covered in paint. We're in prime at the moment, which is aiming down. The best way to remember this is that if it's aiming downwards, it's aiming towards this dump here, which is going into this bucket. And if I flick it into spray, it's going towards the spray hose. Okay, so what we're going to do is the machine's plugged in. We're going to add some water to the machine. We're going to just flush out any of excess antifreeze out of the machine. So the machine's on, and what we'll do is I'll hold that there so you can see. Turn the pressure up. So that noise you can hear there, the Tritechs all do that when you add water to the hopper. They always make that clunky noise, so if you do go for Tritech, don't be alarmed, it's not broken. That is the noise they make. So, because there was water coming out of that dump there, we already know now that that's clear and that's fine to put paint in. If nothing was coming out of this dump, then you would want to clear your machine and ball bearings, and as I said in the previous video, I normally give the pump here on the front a little tap, a little rubber mallet or a little hammer. Not too hard, you don't want to batter the machine, just a few taps, and generally it releases the ball bearing and then the paint will start coming through. But again, do not keep running the machine constantly, because if it's dry in there, you're going to burn the pump out a lot quicker. So I'd say give it 10 to 15 seconds of tapping. And if nothing's happening, then you're going to have to take the ball bearings and give them a clean, and a problem with a screwdriver even to release the ball bearings. So now we're going to be adding the paint to the hopper. You've got a hopper or suction fed. For this demonstration, we're going to be using the hopper. I find them a lot easier to manage, especially if you're cleaning out, because you can add your water to it, dump whatever excess water you have, and then keep putting more clean water in. When you've got the suction fed pipe on, you're going from the paint to the clean bucket of water, and you're contaminating all that clean water. So obviously it depends what sort of job you're doing. If you're doing like a 5-bedroom house, then filling up a hopper constantly is going to take time. So maybe you want to swap back to the suction fed. But again, the hopper is an extra you have to add on to this machine. You'll get the suction fed with it, but for me, having both is really good, because you can chop and change between the two. We're going to mix up the paints. So I've got my pedal mixer here and my drill. Just looking at the paint, it's a little bit thick. So I'd say in general, maybe 10% maybe of water. It depends again on the weather. If it's really cold, the viscosity of the paint is going to be a lot higher. But it's good to get your head around that. I mean, sometimes using warm water can help flow the paint out a bit nicer and get a nicer spray. So what we're going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of water. This has been previously mixed, so just going to judge it really. So I'm going to add a little bit of water to this. Get my mixer. So as you can see, it's running off the stick nicely there. But again, this is personal choice really, how much you thin this. Obviously, the thicker it is, the higher the pressure is going to have to be. You don't have to thin it, but I recommend thinning it sort of 10%. Again, that depends on the product you're using, because you could be using a product that's already quite thin, so you might not want to thin it at all. So you just got to make the judgment yourself of how much you need, and also have a little go as well. Like put it in the hopper, do a couple of passes, see if it feels right. If it doesn't feel right, you can always add more water. But again, as I was taught at college, you can add, but you cannot take away. Now we're going to be adding the paint to the hopper. Before I do that, this is called piston lube. You put it into the front of the piston there, and it will basically lubricate the pump, meaning that it won't let any paint dry to it. What we're going to do now is, and I would say this is probably about once a day. So one in the morning, say that you're about to use a sprayer, just give it a little drop over the top, like so. And again, because I've got the hopper on, I can now just chuck that in the back of there, because that's where the suction pipe would normally go. Some machines are self-lubricating. The machine basically lubricates itself, so you won't need this, so like a GXFF. But if you get that bottle with that machine, which you do, you get with every machine you buy, then it is a lubricated machine. And obviously you can see, even on the grey coats as well, they have a little hole there that you just put your piston lube into. So we've ran clean water through the machine. We already know that everything is running clear. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add the paint to the hopper. So again, I've got a brush here all the time. Everything is where I want it to be. So I'm not running backwards and forwards trying to get stuff. I've also got my floor protection down, which is the Pro Board from Q1. And that is going to protect my floor from any spills. And it's always good to sort of double this up. So underneath this, I've got another layer of the protection. So if it does go through, it's going to be a lot more secure. So what we're going to do now is going to add the paint. So I'm going to fill the hopper, like so. Got my brush, going to wipe off my tin. Okay, so now the hopper is full up with paint. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check the machine over, make sure it's all sound, and the machine is already into prime. So that's aiming downwards, which is aiming towards this dump pipe, which I explained a minute ago. So what we're going to do now is going to turn the pressure of the machine up. So once you see the paint coming through, so there'll be a little bit of water first, and then the paint is there. So now what I'll do is I'll run that into the hopper for about 10 to 15 seconds, because I really want to merge the machine with the paint. So I'm priming that machine, getting the excess air out. And what I do is I put this in the hopper and I let that run for about 10 to 15 seconds. Okay. So basically in there was a few air bubbles. Once they were gone, it was already done. So that's why he said 10 to 15 seconds, just to guarantee that you've got all the air out of that machine and any air pockets. So because there's an airless sprayer, it's driven by a piston, there's no air in there, it's pushing the paint down the hose, which is atomizing at the tip. So now we need to prime our hose. So if you notice on here, I have a whip hose. So this is an extension of the original hose, and this is going to give you just a bit more flexibility at the end. If you're working with just the hose, it's quite stiff. So you really want to put the whip hose on. It's going to give you a lot more freedom in your hand with the gun. And you can hold it by the knuckle there, and it's going to give you that more control over your hose. Okay, so now we want to prime our hose. So we primed our machine, but now we need to prime the hose. And one thing to remember, this is very important, is I treat this gun like a grenade. I do not let go of the trigger. I pull the trigger first, and I do not let go of that trigger. I'm going to now put it into spray. So that's aiming now towards the hose. So trigger is in, and I'm going to turn the machine back up. The reason I do not let go of the trigger is because if I let go of that trigger when I'm setting the hose up and the gun, then the pressure of the machine is going to build up, and if I pull that trigger again, you're going to have a face full of paint. We've all done it, I've done it, and a lot of my students do it, but at the end of the day is, if you keep that trigger on, and control everything with this hand, then you won't have that problem. So what we're gonna do is triggers in. And we're gonna have about, this is a 7.5 metre hose, so we're probably gonna have about half a litre of paint, water even, to come out of that hose first. Then once I see the paint, I've already got my hand ready here, yeah, just to turn it back down again. So there's the paint. Now I've turned it down on the machine. Now I let go of the trigger. Back into my pot, and what I'm doing now is I'm doing the same as what I've done with the prime. I'm just going to merge the hose with the paint. Okay, so the reason I've done that as well is because if you went straight to the, if you've seen paint coming out there into the dump bucket and then you went straight to the wall and then started spraying, there might be quite a lot of water still in the hose, so you would end up with runs all down the wall. So the best thing to do is, again, 10 to 15 seconds into your pot, and then it's going to merge that hose with paint, and then you're going to go straight to the wall then, and when you start spraying, you know you're spraying just paint and not water.